back with another one. Now, in this video, I'll be talking a little bit about the good Dr. Umar Johnson. He been catching a lot of flack lately. And this is not to kick a dog while he's down, because usually I got no problem with people speaking out against injustice and trying to teach knowledge itself and etc. Even if they not all the way right or I don't agree with everything. I usually got no problem with it. And for those that don't know, if you don't know who Umar Johnson is, he's a YouTube notable, been around for years. And like I said, he be spitting knowledge itself, would be considered pro-black. But he been catching hell. And again, usually I wouldn't give a damn to that extent, but there's a lesson to be learned, as with everything. So let me break it down. Well, for one, as we know, Umar been trying to get this school off the ground for the past 15, 20 years. Ever since I knew who he was. And I knew him for a while. And just recently, he went online and he was pretty much big and said his account's frozen and all that. Whatever, that's his business. See, but the thing is, and he's spitting ism, but no answers. No answers, plus no school. And don't get me wrong, I'm rooting for him. I would want him to have a school. But see, the thing is, it's a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of accreditations that got to be established when you get in a school. So, and don't get me wrong, there's ways to go about it, but I'm going to keep it 100. Umar, it sounds like you just running game, some old game. Now, I know you got a building, and over the years, it's been situation after situation, and people done put you on blast like the school ain't even not nearly up to par. And in the little clip I seen, you did mention some type of renovation work or whatever. So it seemed like you do have a physical building that you calling the school, but you ain't about to make no damn school. Then see, that's the thing. And I made a video prior about cats out here slanging God. You know, although he's not preaching Christianity, but he's still preaching spirituality per se. He's still preaching do-gooder, and excuse me for lack of better words. And when you asking people for shit, for money, that changed the ball game, bro. And that was like you slanging God, and that kind of give the game a black eye. Although you do bring up some valid points and truths over the years, but get that school, bro. Like, for real. And see, like I said, I really necessarily don't got no problem with Umar. Tariq Nasheed chopped him up a while back regarding this school, this imaginary school. But it's like, I hate when people mix this ism when they trying to run game. This ain't for play. Same when I hear other cats, and I mentioned this before, when they on that, well, I don't even get what they call it, but the more than one wife and all that. Basically, I look at it like you trying to be a player, but you're trying to use this ism to be a player. Now, don't get me wrong, you definitely want to date like-minded sisters, but you know what I'm talking about. And the way I look at it, you might as well be a pimp, bruh, a P, bruh. Keep it 100, man. You know what I mean? Similar with this Umar situation. Now, another thing, just because you, how should I put it? Just because you for truth, justice, and equality, or civil rights, or revolutionary, whatever you want to call yourself, that don't mean you supposed to be broke just because you pointing out and you hate the many injustices and the many wrongs in this society. Because a lot of times we tend to assimilate, if you successful, that means you kind of buying in to the sham. But nah, it ain't even about that, because the whole object of freedom is ownership and having your own. Now, of course, there's discussion on who owns what or whom own what, but that's a whole different topic. I'm just speaking of the whole do better mentality in acquiring and resources and do for self and all that. That deals with accumulation, and accumulation, like I said, of resources equals wealth. So it ain't about being broke. So we not gonna assimilate that with that. But at the same time, like I was originally saying, Umar, that don't mean you about y'all, not even just you, but just I see that a lot. And it ain't, I know a lot of pages, they throw the cash app out there, whatever. Of course, people want to support you by all means. Somebody want to support me by all means. But in his particular case, you been nigga running that same job about that school for the longest, bro. So leave that alone. If I was you, I would leave that alone. Still push knowledge yourself, but you got to come with a new gimmick. Because that school, I don't know, it's a bando right now, whatever you doing. Because I mentioned the red tape you got to go through. And you on here, been on here for the longest. I know they probably know who he is. The type of talk you talking, whether right or wrong, I don't see them peoples really rocking with that. So, I don't know, maybe you got your curriculum, because I ain't really been peeping you lately, other than a lot of the clickbait titles, and that's the new thing now, people, the controversy, as opposed to the information. But whatever. Point is, though, Umar, if I was you, leave the school alone, bro. Continue to spit ism, because you already gave yourself a black eye, but, and I don't even really necessarily say the game the black eye, because people who know better know better. But since you spitting ism, you're no different than a jack-legged preacher, and we don't need none of them within the ranks of that. Even for me, just the average black man, I don't need none of my leaders. Now, I don't need necessarily, like I said, my leaders don't need to be broke. They can be wealthy, rich, have businesses with all that. But at the same time, they ain't about to be running that jive. So I just wanted to put this out there real quick, y'all, because